Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I have a colorful birthday card to share with you using the Teddy's balloons from Rachelle Anne Miller. This adorable digital stamp was released in the beginning of July, so if you want to grab this one, then definitely check out the site from Rachelle Anne Miller. I'm also linking towards this digital stamp down below in the description box. Now, for today, I printed this digital stamp on Transotype perfect coloring paper, and before starting to color, I decided to already die cut it using my A2 rectangles dies from Mama Elephant. These are my basic A2 rectangles that I use all the time, which gives me those stitching details, and I really like that. But any basic rectangles will do. And once I had like that, I could start coloring. So this will be a one-layered card, but with tons of colors, because I wanted to create some sort of a rainbow kind of bunch of balloons. There are some other design team members that also got this idea but executed it slightly different, doing a bit rainbow everywhere. I am going in like a rainbow kind of order by going diagonally all over these balloons with the rainbow colors. So I'm keeping them together for each kind of family, color family that I'm using, while you can also do a mix and match and have tons of rainbow colors going on everywhere in this bunch of balloons. So I sort of try to have a logical kind of way of coloring. I also am trying to always keep a bit of, a sliver in between the lining and the darkest color to get some sort of a rounded effect on my balloons. It's something that I try to do from time to time, but it also, well, it asks a bit more. For me personally, it's a bit more time consuming, and sometimes I'm just not up for it, and then I just go shadowing right until the edge of the images. Anything you prefer is of course good, and I just adore this digital stamp. I'm sure that you will create the most gorgeous cards once you get this one and start coloring. In case you want to revisit the color combinations that I am using today, I am always listing them on my blog post, so there you have an easy reference if later on you want to use it on a card or some of them. There you will find everything. And so here I'm already onto the yellows. I tend to color from darkest to lightest marker, and I just go back in. I start again, get a few layers going until I'm happy with the blend. Of course, there are many ways to color with your alcohol markers. You do you. As long as you're having fun and you like the end result, that's all that matters. For me, it just works going from darkest to lightest. So today's card, aside from this really colorful image, will be really simple. I'm going to use a stencil on the background. As you know, it's a one-layer card, and I will just add a really simple sentiment because I really want this image to shine on my card. So whenever I go outside the lines, as you saw me doing here, I just take my colorless blender and I fix those tiny mistakes, if you can call them like that. You don't need to, but if you're like me and you don't like it, then there is that colorless blender to help you to just correct those tiny mistakes that you made. And from time to time, whenever I'm using my colorless blender, I use my heat gun to just speed up the drying process and to keep that color really contained. For me personally, that works. In case you use the colorless blender and you have like the idea that the color is again oozing into that area where you use the colorless blender, try your heat gun or anything you use to just warm up your paper and let it dry quicker. That might help you. So for the blues, I'm going with the BG family. Personally, it's my favorite kind of blue. I'm using BG49, BG23, and BG11. And I added 3 colors, and then I thought, well, maybe I can just add a little bit of purple as well. So I will add purple to the final balloon as well as the one that the bear is sort of giving to the bird, which is super adorable. I also created another card with this digital stamp, which I will share hopefully in a few weeks. You don't have to go rainbow. You can also sort of keep it in the same color family kind of idea. That's also really, really nice. It all depends on your personal preferences. I must admit that later on when I looked at this card as well as the inspiration from the design team with the rainbow colors, I sort of had a flashback to the Up film from Pixar, which I truly adore. It's an amazing film in my opinion. And there, that house with all of those balloons in all of those colors, I just love it. So I really had this flashback and I just really, really love that. I think I will watch the movie again whenever I can. So I'm just making sure to get that purple going. I don't use purple all the time. This is a combination where I tend to grab towards because it works. But the purple family is still a bit of, well, a mystery for me, getting those right colors to mix and match. And then for the bird, I decided to go with yellow again. I tend to color my birds yellow. I love other colors, but every time I create them in other colors, somehow it just isn't working. So just to keep it safe, I'm using some yellows, and then the bear will be in a really soft brown. Because isn't this one adorable? You can also add a bit of a cheek, as you can see there. Because I'm unsure about the cheeks, I love them whenever I see them, but I'm not as confident to add them myself. I always think that I will mess up. I just sort of ignored it. It is the illusion of a cheek there that is blushing in the brown kind of combination that I used. I first started with my E33 combination, which I really adore, but then I thought that it was just a slightly bit too light, so I added E37 as my darkest color eventually, and just worked my way through the combination that I use all the time, E33, E53, E51, and if needed, E50. A really lovely combination, really simple, but truly adorable. Okay. And then once the coloring is done, I'm going to continue with the background. Now I have my A2 rectangular panel here with the stitching details. I tend to want to keep them white. So I'm going to mask off those edges, and then I actually just fussy cut the digital stamp out of regular printer paper, which isn't really thick. It isn't masking paper, but if you just add some temporarily adhesive like I'm doing here, then you can use it as masking paper. The only thing that I suggest here is to use this way only if you're going to use a stencil, and I will explain why. Normally I tend to use masking paper. I think that's really useful. If you want to save up on your masking paper, this is a way to do that. If you don't have masking paper, this is a way to mask either way. But why when you're using a stencil? As you can see, I just added those dot adhesives, which are temporarily there. I can remove it later on. But as you can also see, you cannot completely add these dots on the complete back of the fussy cut images. So whenever you're using just your brush to create the whole background, I think you will go underneath your mask area, or you will just fold it somehow and then have your background color on your image. So that I would not suggest doing. But as you can see here, I am using the cloudy stencil from Fawn for this background, and because I'm using that stencil, I'm also keeping that mask in place actually, since I am pressing with that stencil before adding my ink, and that will also help me secure that temporarily masked area. So I'm just making sure to add a bit of ink all over this background using my favorite distress ink, Cracked Pistachio, really light, bright. Not going all the way with the clouds because at a certain moment those clouds are just stopping in the sky. So then I'm removing slowly that purple tape. Always handy if you do that in an angle. That helps with not ripping your paper. It's not a guaranteed kind of thing, but if you go slow and in an angle, I would really recommend doing that. Next, I'm going to peel off that paper. If I need a new one, I will just fussy cut a new one. I'm using a craft knife to help me just get underneath one of the edges, and then I can peel it all off. And then with this temporarily dots adhesive thingy, you might have some dots residue on top of the panel. I just use my finger, as you can see here, to rub it off. And then once I removed all of those, well, how do you call it? The residue of the adhesive, I'm going to add a sentiment. The one that I'm using today is from the Bitty Birthday Wishes from My Favorite Things, a great basic sentiment stamp set. This one for birthday, you can also do congratulations or anything like that, or something like I miss you. I decided to go for hip hip hooray, which is really simple, but I think it works with the rainbow. It's really festive as well, and it just isn't going to distract from the image and the coloring that we did. And then the only thing left to do is to add this panel to a card base. Now you can also add some glossy accents. I love to add those on balloons, but since there are such a bunch here, I decided to not do that, to not bulk my card, but you can if you want to. You can also add some glitter or add a bit of glossy accents or glitter just halfway or just on a part of the balloon. Anything is possible. I hope that you enjoyed this video and that you got inspired. Don't forget, this is a digital stamp available at Rachelle Anne Miller's website, which is also linked down below in the description box. I hope you had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun creating this card. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I will be back soon. Bye!